And that's one-on-one. But as we think this morning about taking conscious action, I'm going to challenge you a little bit more. How could you be as God and have a positive impact on poverty, homelessness, discrimination, anger in the world, fear, war, all of the things that we know are not a representation of the divine, not a representation of love. They are only existing because we haven't turned on the light, right? There is no darkness that has its own consciousness, its own belief. It's just we haven't turned on the light. Darlene is the light when she walks in the room. Rob Wright is the light when he walks in the room. Linda is the light when she walks into the room or goes to a writer's retreat. She is there so that others can see and experience God. Back to the Bible. What we want is that people are able to see you, and I am, and each one of you are able to say, the one who sees me sees the one who sent me, the one who created me. Now, I know some of you have found your way to religious science or science of mind because you had an experience that made you think, I do not ever want anybody to quote the Bible to me again. I will never read the Bible. I don't even want one in my house. But what we believe in science of mind is that all paths lead to God, and there is wisdom in every path. And what many of us have learned is that rereading the Bible from a metaphysical point of view makes you go, there's some good stuff in here. That wasn't in there when I read it 15 years ago. That must not, I didn't quite get that. But yeah, the one who sees me sees the one who sent me. And this is one of the things that I love so much about science of mind. There are a number of new thought philosophies. Science of mind is a faith, a philosophy, and a way of life. That's what it says on the cover of the book and on the cover, internal cover page. And for me, what I learned after exploring many different paths was that this idea of Centers for Spiritual Living is more than just new thought, a new way of thinking. It is a way of thinking, but it is a way of behaving, and that's why we are Centers for Spiritual Living, and not just Centers for Spiritual Learning, not just Centers for Spiritual Laughing, not just Centers for Spiritual Intellectual Analysis. All of those things are important and integrated into who we are and how we show up. But we integrate it so that we can live it and can confidently say, the one or anyone who sees me sees that which I am made of, that which I have been created from. Anyone who sees me, experiences me, interacts with me, sees the one who sent me. So I'm going to invite you, now I'm going to invite you to join me in making this a priority. So I am perfect, but I don't do this perfectly. There are days when I'm angry. I was having a conversation just last night with another practitioner who was encouraging me in her best Sandra Francis way. Well, Tracy, would you like me to pray for you about that? And then when she asked me the question, I realized, oh, I did go off on a little bit of a rant. And when she asked me the question, I was like, no, actually, I don't want you to pray for that, because right now, I don't like how that's going, and I want to sit in that for just a little while, and I don't want it to be resolved and healed, and I'll get back to you in a day or two. Now, some of you don't know that practitioners and ministers do that. It's not that we don't ever have little hiccups, or we do. We just don't, we recognize it, and we don't stay in it as long as we might have before. And we know we have tools to use and resources, like practitioners, ministers, and others of you, to do prayer and treatment and to remind us of our truth. But yeah, last night I was like, oh no, I want to have a conversation with this person, and I don't want them, I don't care if they see whether God sent me or not. I want to give them a piece of my mind first, which I'm not going to do, because of course that was yesterday, and by this morning I was like, okay, let it go. But the one who sees me sees the one who sent me. That is the intention, and I invite you to join me this week in consciously choosing to show up as often as possible in this way. The world changes one person at a time, one conversation at a time, one relationship at a time, and because of that, each one of us, with everyone and anyone we interact with, have the opportunity to change the world for ourselves and for others. But we have to do it differently than the person next to us, or the person related to us, or the cousin, or the brother, or the sister, because everyone is needed out of the same dough, this dough called human body, human experience, human feeling. But we're not all baked in the same oven. So we come out in different colors, with different combinations, different sexual orientation, different ages, different ways that each one of us is different. Just like you could start with the same dough and end up with donuts, or a cake, or a loaf of wheat bread, or a loaf of rye bread. You could have desserts. You could have all different things that started out with the same ingredients. So what I choose to do when I answer the question, what is mine to do, will be different than what Mark Anthony Starr chooses. What I choose to do will be different than what Jim Cantor chooses. What Dan chooses to do will be different from what Frank or Dorma choose to do. Don't judge your choice from what others are doing. Pay attention to our theme this month: spiritual guidance and personal responsibility. Trust your spiritual guidance. And remember that the way you show up to demonstrate love, in your mind, in your heart, you may be the most loving person in the world, because that's invisible in its essence. It only becomes apparent through its act. Your act of love. Ernest Holmes was a pretty smart guy. And this is what it means to choose what is mine to do. How will the act be visible? How will you move love from an invisible essence into the words you say, the people you interact with, and the choices you make? So you may not have an answer to the question right now, what is mine to do? That's okay. Or maybe that question feels like it's way too big. There's so many things to do. So I want to leave you with this question, or this sentence stem, that you can use to get to the same place. To be an example of love in the world, I will, and fill in the blank. To be an example of truth and faith and joy and peace in the world, I will do X. To be an example of God in a human suit, traveling this world, having a journey of humanity. I will So let's take that into prayer. What will I do that says, I was here? What will I do to leave my mark on the world? What will I do to contribute to a world that works for everyone? I first and foremost will recognize that there is one power, one presence, one infinite intelligence in the universe that simply is trying to know itself, share itself, express itself, and experience itself as each one of us present, and every other form of life. And I know this one power, this one presence that is expressing as me and as us, CSLDallas. And for that I am in awe and so very grateful. For this one power, this one presence that is, in its true essential nature, simply love, expressing and expanding and experiencing life, is begging me, begging each one of us to answer the question, what is mine to do to bring more love present in the world, to make a positive difference, to create a world that works for everyone, and to express and to demonstrate the principles that we teach in Science of Mind, that there is one God, one presence, and it is me, it is each one of us. Oh, how fabulous it is to be able to, in this moment, know that I have the opportunity to answer the question, what is mine to do? And by me doing that, the ripple effect goes out through the entire world and changes everything that is seeking to be reconfigured, to be in complete alignment with the truth of God. To be love and joy and beauty and harmony, prosperity, abundance, to be the excellence of the divine, experiencing life and shifting anything that is out of alignment completely out of view. This is what we have the opportunity to be. To be like Jesus, an example of the divine in human form. So grateful for the opportunity to do that. So grateful for the willingness that we each have to be that presence in the world. So grateful for the teachings of Science of Mind. So grateful for the consciousness of Ernest Holmes. So grateful for the yes that every person present is saying within themselves to answer the question, what is mine to do? And into that holy yes, that complete and total yes, I just release this word, knowing it is already done in divine mind, and that divine law, universal law, is doing its job to bring it forth individually, collectively, and changing everything that is ready to be changed. So I breathe it in, releasing anything that is out of alignment with it and affirming it, accepting it, and completely and totally allowing it to be in the world by saying together, and so it is.